Have you ever witnessed a moment so tiny, so fleeting, yet so explosive that it changes everything in a relationship? Well, buckle up, because that's exactly what went down when Meghan Markle decided to hijack Prince Harry's moment on stage. And let me tell you, it was brutal. Picture this. Harry is mid-speech, microphone in hand, owning the stage. Cameras flashing, the spotlight firmly on him. Then, out of nowhere, Meghan sneaks in behind him, uninvited, unannounced, and very much unwanted. She taps him on the back, forcing him to acknowledge her. And in that split second, his startled glance said it all. It was the kind of look that screamed, "What are you doing here?" Now, here's the kicker. Harry didn't hand her the mic. Yes, you heard that right. The man who once begged an announcer to let Meghan speak, who used to literally shove the spotlight onto her, held on tight this time. And oh, that tiny refusal, it sent shockwaves. The crowd felt it too. No applause, no cheers, no polite smiles. Meghan stood there awkwardly, frozen in silence, waiting for the roar that never came. Instead of adoration, she was met with cold indifference. And when the silence became unbearable, she stormed off stage. Walk of shame, anyone? But here's where it gets juicy. The very next morning, the mainstream media painted a completely different picture. Glossy still shots of Meghan smiling, standing tall next to Harry, carefully cropped to look like a united front. The fairy tale couple hand in hand, but the video, the real footage, completely buried. Meghan's intrusion, the humiliation, the rejection, hidden. Why? Why was the world fed a fairy tale when the reality was pure awkwardness? Because if people saw what really happened, they'd see the cracks in this so-called love story. Cracks that are widening faster than anyone imagined. And this stage fiasco was just the tip of the iceberg. Let's step back for a second. Harry officially isn't even a working royal anymore. His military title's stripped, his role diminished. On paper, he's just another celebrity. But then, plot twist, in Ukraine at official government events, Harry was addressed as His Royal Highness. And you know what that means? That wasn't Ukraine's decision. Protocol at state events doesn't work like that. If they called him HRH, Buckingham Palace signed off on it. So, while headlines scream, "Harry's out," the palace whispers something else entirely. And here's where it gets even messier. Reports are swirling that Harry could have a public engagement with King Charles in 6 years. 6 years. Not 3, not 5. 6. Weirdly specific, right? Almost like a deliberate breadcrumb to keep the Sussex brand marketable. Are they stringing along the public, dangling the possibility of reconciliation just long enough to keep the money flowing? Book deals, Netflix contracts, speaking gigs. It all depends on Harry still being relevant. And in the middle of this circus is Meghan, the woman who barges into places uninvited, who beams for cameras while being shunned in real life, who thrives on the media's glossy angles. But for Harry, reality is getting harder to hide. Holding that mic wasn't just about finishing a speech, it was about reclaiming control. For the first time, Harry refused to let Meghan hijack the spotlight. That, my friends, wasn't just an awkward moment. It was a rebellion, a betrayal in Meghan's eyes. And when she stormed off stage, Harry didn't follow. No hand-holding, no smoothing over, no chasing after her like before. His silence screamed louder than any words ever could. And behind the curtain, the fireworks had only just begun. Now let's dive into what happened when those stage lights dimmed, because that's where the real drama unfolded. Behind the scenes, Harry was livid. Not just annoyed, not just embarrassed, full-on furious. Sources close to the couple whispered that he was fuming Meghan had barged in yet again, snatching at his moment like it was hers to own. And for Meghan, she wasn't sulking quietly. Oh no, she was raging too. But her anger wasn't about the crowd's cold silence, it was about Harry himself. To Meghan, that microphone is everything. It's not just a tool, it's power, validation, proof that she belongs in the spotlight. And Harry's refusal to pass it to her, in her mind, that was the ultimate betrayal. A declaration that on that stage, it was his voice that mattered, not hers. And if you know Meghan, you know she doesn't take that kind of rebellion lightly. This wasn't just a fight about a microphone. It was a glimpse into a marriage tug-of-war. Harry, for the first time, had dared to say no in public. And Meghan, she saw that as a threat to the control she so carefully clung to. But let's not forget, Meghan's need to dominate doesn't stop with Harry. It extends to everything, including their children. Remember how Harry dreamed of sending his kids to school in the UK, maybe even Eton, the very place generations of royals were educated? Well, Meghan shut that down, not just with a simple no, but with conditions. Rumors swirl that she demanded compensation before even considering letting the children near the UK. Yes, compensation. Like the kids are bargaining chips in her high-stakes game. And Harry, stuck between two worlds, the royal family he was born into and the family he built with Meghan. The pull is tearing him apart, but for the first time, he's starting to resist. Meanwhile, Meghan's carefully polished image is cracking under the spotlight she so desperately craves. On stage, she showed up in what was supposed to be an elegant gown, but instead of glamour, it screamed desperation. Wrinkled fabric, undone buttons plunging low, overdone spray tan, it was a look that was more chaotic than chic. And when she forced herself beside Harry, expecting applause, the silence from the crowd was deafening. Organizers took note. Word is, after that little stunt, Meghan was quietly pushed to the sidelines. No more center stage, no more spotlight. For a woman who thrives on being front and center, being benched is the deepest cut. And oh, did it show. Witnesses saw the big, plastered smile on her face, the kind of grin that stretches wide but never reaches the eyes. Behind it, her eyes burned with anger. It's a pattern we've seen before. Meghan smiles when mocked. She grins when shunned. But behind that smile simmers a rage that tells the real story. And that night, the message was crystal clear. Meghan's attempt to shine had backfired spectacularly. Think about it. Sarah Ferguson pulled the same trick decades ago. Divorced, disgraced, yet somehow close enough to the royals to still reap the benefits. She's still at Royal Lodge, rent-free, her privileges intact. And now, Meghan seems to be trying the same playbook. Half in, half out, always dangling, never disappearing. And the scariest part, what happens behind closed doors after such a public humiliation? Because once those cameras shut off, Meghan confronted Harry with fury unlike anything the crowd could imagine. To her, this wasn't just a snub, it was treason. And that's where the real war begins. So, what happened when the doors closed, the cameras switched off, and the world wasn't watching? That's when the drama really boiled over. Harry, usually the one to smooth things over, didn't this time. He didn't run after Meghan when she stormed off stage. He didn't grab her hand to reassure the audience that everything was fine. Instead, he stayed put, stone-faced, letting her anger burn alone. That silence, the refusal to chase her, was louder than any shouting match. And Meghan? She exploded. To her, Harry's defiance was more than embarrassing. It was betrayal. For years, she's built her image around being the one who always stands next to him, the one who shares his stage, his spotlight, his voice. For Harry to hold on to that microphone as if to say, "Not this time," it cut her to the core. Sources close to the couple whisper that the fallout behind closed doors was brutal. Meghan accused Harry of humiliating her, of leaving her exposed to the cold silence of the crowd. Harry, on the other hand, accused Meghan of trying, once again, to steal the spotlight from him. The argument wasn't just about that night. It was about years of tension, years of Meghan pushing her way into spaces, years of Harry letting her, years of imbalance finally snapping on one stage in front of the world. And let's be honest, Meghan thrives on control. She always has. But this time, Harry rebelled. And that's what terrifies her, because once you taste independence, it's hard to go back to submission. The palace knows this too. They don't have to issue statements. They don't have to leak dramatic headlines. They just let actions speak for themselves. Allow Harry to be called His Royal Highness abroad. Leak whispers of a reunion 6 years down the line. Keep Meghan guessing. Keep the public invested. It's a quiet chess game, and Meghan is realizing she's not the queen on this board. She's the pawn. And while Meghan tries to plaster on her smile, the cracks are showing everywhere. That gown, meant to dazzle, only exposed how desperate she is to be seen. That grin, stretched too wide, only revealed the anger simmering underneath. The press can crop photos, they can spin narratives, but the people who were in that room saw the truth. They saw Meghan force her way onto that stage. They saw Harry refuse her. They saw the silence. For Meghan, humiliation isn't just painful, it's dangerous. Because humiliation threatens her entire brand. If she's no longer the adored wife standing proudly beside Harry, what is she? Another former actress clinging to fame. And for Harry, that night might have been a turning point. A moment of rebellion, yes, but also a moment of clarity. But for the first time, he stood on stage as himself, not as Meghan's prop. The world has seen couples fracture before under the weight of power struggles, but with Harry and Meghan, every crack is magnified. Every argument, every humiliation, every stage smile becomes headline news. And while the glossy photos suggest unity, the footage tells a far darker story: rejection, resentment, and betrayal. Meghan's ultimate betrayal wasn't against the monarchy, and it wasn't against the press. It was against Harry himself, because on that stage, in front of everyone, she showed she would rather embarrass him than let him stand alone. And Harry's refusal to hand her that microphone, that was his betrayal in return. His declaration that her voice didn't get to eclipse his anymore. And in the end, that might be the wedge that breaks them apart. Not a scandal, not the palace, not the press, but the simple act of one partner refusing to hand over the microphone. The fairy tale was already cracking. Now the world is watching it shatter.